Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing something a little different. As you can see, I'm in a different kitchen. I am here with
Grace.
She's only 13 and an absolute gun in the kitchen. Today we're making a dish that we both love, and that is the burrito. I'll be showing her a few tips and tricks on making it even better. And later on in another video, she will be schooling me on how to make some desserts. So let's begin. We're gonna start off by marinating our chicken, as that's going to take the longest. So we've got here 1.1 kilos of boneless chicken thighs that we're just gonna put into a bowl. I've got a can here of Chipotle Peppers in Adobo sauce that I'm just gonna simply remove out the peppers and just use the Adobo sauce for our marinade. So I'm just gonna get Grace to put our sauce in the marinade. Followed by 1 teaspoon of paprika. Next will be 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, followed by some salt, followed by some freshly cracked pepper. All right, next we're gonna give it a quick mix. We'll cover it with some cling wrap and then we'll let it rest for about 2 hours. Next, we're gonna make our flour tortilla dough. We're gonna start off by using 3 cups of all-purpose flour. Next, you'll need 1 cup of warm water. I'm just mixing boiling water and cold water together. I'm using 50 grams of lard, and we're just gonna melt it in our warm water. While that's melting away, we'll just add in a teaspoon of baking powder and a good pinch of salt. All right, we'll give it a quick mix. All right, we'll just pour all in our lard mixture. And now we'll just stir it with our spoon. Now that it's formed a shaggy dough, we'll just place it on our bench. Now we'll just get Grace to knead it until it becomes a smooth dough. We'll place it into our bowl. We'll cover it with some plastic wrap and then we'll let it rest for about 30 minutes. Next, we're gonna start on our Pico De Gallo. So it's gonna start off with about 4 or 5 tomatoes. We're gonna simply cut them into quarters. While Grace is cutting the tomatoes for the Pico De Gallo, I'll get started on our corn salsa. Just pull the husk off firstly. Once all the husk has been peeled from the corn, we're just gonna char the exterior of our corn. You want a nice smoky flavor in your corn salsa, so the darker the better. Your corn should look like this. Now that the tomatoes has been cut and the corns have been charred, I'll give Grace the job of cutting the corn kernels off their cob. And just place it into the bowl there. We'll place it into the bowl. Now I'll give Grace the lovely job of finally dicing 1 whole onion and we'll just split it across both of them. You all right with that?
Yep.
Perfect. And I'm gonna have the easy job of doing the guac. We'll start off with 3 avocados. We squeeze the meat out of the flesh. Some salt. And the juice of 1 lime. Quickly break it up. And there we have it, a simple, easy guac. People think that guac contains tomato, onion, but most of the times guac is generally just made with lime and salt. Add half the onion mixture into the tomato and into the corn. I've got a handful of coriander leaves that I'm just getting Grace to chop up finely. While she's doing that, I'll add in the juice of half a lime into our tomato mixture and half a lime into our corn mixture. Bit of salt, some freshly cracked black pepper, and now about half a teaspoon of cumin into our Pico De Gallo. I'll just get Grace to mix them both up. And our 2 salsas and guac is done. The dough's been rested for about 45 minutes. So next step, we're just gonna divide them into 100-gram pieces. We'll simply roll it into a ball And that will be our first tortilla. Now that the dough has been rolled up, we'll just place it back into a bowl. Cover with our Glad wrap. Now we'll let them rest until they're ready to be fried. For our Chipotle sauce, it's just gonna be very simple. In a blender, we're just gonna add half a cup of mayo, followed by half a cup of sour cream. I'll mince 1 garlic in, and 2 Chipotle chilies from the can of Adobo sauce that we used earlier. If you want it spicier, just simply add more chilies, but I'm feeding a few kids, so we're gonna leave it semi-mild. Some salt, and some black pepper. All right, we'll blend this up until it's smooth, and then you have your Chipotle sauce. The dough balls have been resting for about an hour, so it's time to roll them out and start cooking them. I'll demonstrate to Grace the first one, and then she will continue. Some flour, press it out with your hand. You can always make sure it never sticks. I like moving it around, because if you leave it like that, it just stretches back in. Stretch it out as thin as possible. With about 100 grams worth of dough, you should get about 12 to 14 inches in diameter. Once the pan gets super hot, we'll lay it flat. After about 30 seconds, you'll start to see the bubbles starting to puff up. We'll flip it over. We'll cook it for another 30 seconds. Another 30 seconds. Flip it over. Okay. Lay it down. Cover with tea towel. That's our first tortilla done. We're gonna now fry the rice. So we're gonna start off with a generous helping of our vegetable oil. You'll want to use quite a lot of this because you want the oil to coat the rice. We'll add in half an onion that's been finely diced and 1 clove of garlic slightly crushed. We'll cook them until they're soft and translucent. Okay, once they're about to caramelize, we'll add in our rice. Now we're gonna simply coat the rice in the oil, and we're gonna slightly brown it off. This process should take about 10 to 15 minutes, depending how done you want your rice to be. Once your rice looks like this, it's time to add your tomato paste. We're gonna add about 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. And we're gonna cook out the acidity in the tomato paste first. Once you've fried off all your tomato paste, we're going to add in 1 litre of beef stock. We'll add in our lime juice, followed by 1 pepper. It's up to you how many you want to use. You don't have to use it, but I like it with a bit of kick, so I'm just going to use 1. We're going to cover it with the lid, and we're going to cook it for about 20 minutes. Sorry in advance if the audio or video is bad. I'm outside. I'm going to cook these chicken thighs on charcoal. So I've got my hibachi grill. We're just gonna get a nice char on them. Well, the chicken thighs have got a nice sear on it. We're just gonna finish it off in the oven. I've just pulled the chicken out of the oven, and the chicken has read about 170 to 175 Fahrenheit. I want the juices to come out. I want it to swim in its own juices as I cut it up. So that's ready. All right, chicken's done, the rice is done, all the toppings are done, so let's assemble. To assemble, we'll start off with the guac, just put a thin layer down. Yep, that's perfect. Next, our rice. Next, our chicken. Next will be our Pico De Gallo, followed by our corn salsa, bit of Chipotle sauce. Now I'll have the mission to try assemble this. And there we have it, Juan and Grace's burrito. We'll cut it open and see the midsection. Time for the taste test. Cheers.